this is what we're going to be modeling and texturing in this video. And as you can see, many of the parts are reusable between the different objects. All right, I've got a reference image. I'll show you that in a second, and you can download that from the Zero Bio Discord. If for any reason the link doesn't work to that, then just come on over to the Discord, maybe sign up, and you can then go into the reference channel and you can find this and all the other references that I've put there. All right, so we're going to create these little diner props. Not going to be low poly, but we're going to have some fun with this. All right, so over here in Blender, I have brought in the reference image. There it is. I've scaled it. I pressed S3 after I brought it in. I went Shift-A, Image, Reference, and brought that in. And I've moved it back a little bit on the Y-axis, and I am ready to go. We're going to start with this chair. So I've moved it so that my 3D cursor is right here. So I've selected this, and I just pulled it till I like the position. It may not be perfect yet. All right, so let's get going on this. I'm going to press Shift-A, Mesh, Circle, and I will use 24 vertices for this. Okay, so I'm going to press 1 for vertex. I'm going to go into Edit Mode and press 1 for vertex selection, and we're going to make the cushion, scale it down just a little bit, and get it to about this size. And I'm going to press E to extrude and pull up like this until we get to the top. I'll go into wireframe so you can see a little bit better. All right, I'm going to press F to make a face up there. Let's go out of wireframe for the moment, and you can see that. I'm going to select it all, Alt-N, recalculate outside, because I guess it was flipped. And I'm going to select that top face. I'll go into wireframe again, and Control-B and pull, and give it a couple more segments like that. Make it nice and round. We can scale, Shift-Z, not in the Z. Pull it out a little bit like this. And we have this shape right here. I can shade smooth that. Now you could leave it like that, or you can put a subdivision on to make it a little bit more smooth. It's up to you. I'll go ahead and put that on for now, and we'll see. We're going to make this bottom section right here now, and I'm going to use a circle from this. So press 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click that edge. Shift D to duplicate, pull it down to get it out of the way, and then press P and separate by selection. So I've got this. Now this also has the subdivision on it right now. So I'll leave it on for now. Go into edit mode and 1 for vertex so you can see them. And I'm going to come up here, and I want it to be a little wider than this. All right, and about that width, the width of, not where these things stick out, but the width of this thing coming down like that. So I'm going to press E to extrude, pull it all the way down like this to there. I'll go into wireframe again so you can see that. I'll take that. I might scale Shift-Z, make it a little bit wider. Okay, back in a solid view. I'm going to take this edge here, E and S, and I'm going to pull that in a little bit. Take this edge, E and S, and just pull it in a little bit. So we have this. Back into wireframe. Now we're going to make these bumps. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this diagram. You can do as many as you want. We're going to use Control R to drop an edge loop right there. And that's 1, and then roll my mouse up. 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Click, left click. Those are still selected. All right. And then press Control B to bevel and hold Shift as you pull. But there's a lot of segments in there, so roll your mouse backwards. So there's just the 2 sort of horizontal lines. And pull them out till you get the size that you like with a little gap in between. You don't want them touching. Little gap in between. Click E, Alt S, and push until they come out to about there. And we have this. Let's take this and shade smooth. And I'll come up here, and I'm just going to drag an edge loop up to steer the top, just to sharpen that up a little bit. And 1 down here, just a little bit. And it can be kind of bubbly like that. That's fine. We don't need any more edge loops. So keep in mind that this cushion and this is used in many of the objects. And this is just a side view of the same chair. All right, so we're going to move on now and do the legs of this. Okay, we're going to create this leg here, and then we're just going to copy it. Okay, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to use a curve, but I'm going to create the curve first by going Shift-A, Mesh Plane, go to Edit Mode, press 1 to select all your vertices, merge at center, and G, and drag it down here. So you see that dot right there. I'm in Edit Mode, and you can see that dot. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it underneath. It's a little bit hard to see, so let's try wireframe. So there it is. I'm going to press E to extrude and G and just pull it down to about here. E and pull down to about there. So I'll go, I think, maybe I'll go to about the middle of where the curve is. Okay, where this bar is. Okay, so I got that one. E, come down to here. E, and I'll come down straight to there. So I have that. And this one's tucked under. Now you're never going to look underneath, hopefully anyhow. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to round these a bit. So select all of the joints. I'll call them the joints. And we're going to bevel that. Shift, Control B, pull. So you have 2. Roll your mouse up so I have 3, and about that distance. It's a relatively smooth kind of transition. So we're just going to have that. It's pretty straightforward. All right. Now I'm going to take that and right click and convert that to a curve. Come over to the curve dialog box under geometry, bevel, depth. Hold down shift as you drag to the right and get it the approximate thickness of that. All right. We can look in solid view and see, and I can shade smooth as well. And there's the leg right there. Okay. Now, I don't like using fill caps here. I'm going to actually convert that to a mesh right now before we copy it. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose a resolution. I'm going to go for 3. I may put a subdivision on this, I may not. So with 3 chosen, I'm going to right click and choose convert to mesh. Then I can come down here, it's now a mesh. I can come down here, press 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click there, F to make a face, Control B to bevel, pull it and have 3. Okay, there's 2, 3. Roll your mouse up like that. Now, before we go on, I'm going to unwrap this, or at least put seams in is what I mean. It doesn't really matter where you put it. I'm just going to put it on the inside. No, I'll put it on the back. Shift Alt and click that edge there. That goes all the way up. And I'm going to Shift Alt and click there. So you got a line going up and there. Control E, mark seam, and that'll make it easier before we, do the marking, do the copying of this thing. Okay, so press 7 to look down from the top, and my 3D cursor is still right here in the middle. I'm going to switch over to 3D cursor, go into edit mode, so my pivot is there, so I'm going to Shift D, rotate 180, A to select both of them, Shift D, rotate 90, and I have all of that, and they all have that seam marked. Okay, good. All right, this thing, we could do that right now too. We can just hide that for a second and come to the back, Control 1, come in here and just choose this back edge here, Shift Alt to click there, Control E, mark seam. That's going to be good enough. And this one I think I can just plain unwrap. So we'll see. Alt H, bring that back, look from the front, and now let's make these bars, and we're going to use a circle from here. So Shift Alt to click one of these edges, Shift D to duplicate, pull it down, and P to break it out. Take this, it'll have the subdivision on it still. Scale, let's go back to median point, scale it. All right, so this bar is going to be on the inside of the leg, and the other bar is on the outside of the leg. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that subdivision and go into object mode, right click, convert to curve, not mesh, curve. And then like before, hold shift, pull this until you get the size you like. And it's okay if it overlaps the bar a little bit, or you can take it and just press S to scale a little bit, and maybe off the diagram a little bit. So it's kind of like welded to there, so it's okay. We can shade smooth that. We'll shade smooth just like that. And we can now take that. I'm going to go into edit mode to do this. Shift D to duplicate, pull it down to here, and then scale it until it's outside of that leg. Like that. That's good enough there. Okay. So we're going to convert those to meshes now. It's all one object, so scroll up to the top and choose something like 3, and then right click and convert to mesh. And before we go any further, we'll add a seam on these. So select that middle one, Control E, mark seam, and this one, Control E, mark seam, and then at this point it's up to you. Control 1 for one subdivision. You know, your poly count will go up, but I like it like that, but I'm just going to leave it like that for the time being. Yeah, periodically save. Now we're going to go up and do the seat back here. All right, so my 3D cursor is still right there, hasn't moved, so Shift A, mesh plane, rotate X90, and drag it up. Go into wireframe, and let's say we align the bottom like that. In edge selection, grab the top, pull it down, select it. Now there's a border all around here, so we're really looking at the width of the actual chair part. So, and it doesn't matter that much. All right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to scale this in the X and just kind of get that sloping shape like that. So this is what I have here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some edge loops. So Control R and then scroll up so you have this, and I'll do one more. So they're not exactly the same, but that's fine. I'm going to do 5 like that. So here's what I have. Okay, I'm going to take this edge and I want to give a little bit of rounding to that. And I mean, you can look at the side, we could move, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to click on proportional editing, and you can choose either smooth or sphere, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to start to pull this. The motorcycles to go by. I'm going to start to pull this back, and you can see that circle of influence. The motorcycles are out tonight. So I'm just going to get a gentle curve like that, something like that. I'll put a subdivision on this in a minute, and maybe I'll pull, but maybe I'll grab that and just pull a bit more like that. All right, something like that anyhow. Turn that off. Take this, and I want to give it some thickness, so you can look on the diagram here, or you could just sort of do it by eye. I'm going to press E, Alt S, and I'm going to push, I guess. I want it to come out. So I want mine about maybe that thick. All right, go back in object mode, Control 1 or 2, shade smooth. You get the sense of what it's going to look like. All right, it's a little bit funny right now, so I'm going to go in, and I'm going to drop one edge loop right now. I'm going to come in here, drag an edge loop towards the front, not too tight though, and towards the back. And you start seeing. Now this looks a lot better with 2 subdivisions, and also drag an edge loop up here this way, but not too tight. Keep a nice curve, and that way, something like that. Now this is going to get moved back in a minute. We'll get the position, so we're just getting the generalities of this. Now I'm going to shut off that, and I'm going to press let me just think about this. If I want to put more, I think I do. I'm going to drop another edge loop. Let's do it in solid view. Control R in the middle of each of these. Okay, so we've got the basic part of the chair done. So now what I want to do is I want to come in here, and I want to select a certain amount of this. Let's turn that off. And it's a little bit difficult to tell. I'm going to press C, and I'm going to select in face selection, number 3. I'm going to select all this middle stuff here. I don't need to go out as far. And I'm going to come up just until I hit my little border. So I want all these things. You can do it that way. And let's not forget the bottom as well. So we can add to the selection just like this, sort of painting. All right, I want to get those. With that done, I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate, P to break it out, and we now have this piece. So let's put the subdivision back on there, and we've got that one. We can put a subdivision on. Let's take this, all right, and we're going to press E and Alt S to push. And now I'm going to come out just so that I don't go past my border. I'm going to come up here and drag an edge loop, straighten that out. Okay, I can make my border a little bit bigger if I want. I'll come down here and I'm going to drop an edge loop in just to straighten that out a little bit. Okay, and with that done, we now have these lines we can use. I'm going to select these, and I'm going to Control B to bevel. I'm going to pull out till I have two like that, and I'm going to press E and Alt S, and I'm going to pull them in a little bit, just a little bit. And we'll have this indented pattern. Okay, let's come back out to this and maybe consider increasing its size just a little bit. And I think we probably got it. Let's double check though the orientation. Okay, that looks good. All right. And I could probably come up here and box select the top of this. And I could if I get rid of actually these edge loops for the moment, and if I box select the top of this, I can probably scale this in the X a little bit. If I wanted a bit more, and I'm going to Alt S just a bit more for that, and I'll drop an edge loop back up and back down to have this. All right, and then again, you can decide what you want to do up here. If it bothers you, you can look from the side and you can box select all that stuff there, and you can bring this down just a little bit. Okay, and you can do the same on the bottom. Box select something like that and come over here. Let's, in the Z direction, so go GZ, pull it up a little bit underneath. All right, so we've got that. Good. Let's save. And we're going to take this and this and this. We're going to be moving it back, and you can see it's just right behind the seat. So to somewhere around there. And what you can do is you can take everything here. All right, let's select all these pieces here. And we can look from the front, we can rotate a Z90, and we can slide our chair over, and it should match pretty good. Let's get the body, the main body of it to match, like about there. And then we can take all of this stuff, and we can slide that forward a little bit, about like that. Okay, so we're going to make the back parts now. I moved away from my 3D cursor there, so let's just take this down and bring my 3D cursor there. All right, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to press Shift A, mesh plane. We can push that out, one, merge at center, so I have this one point. I'm going to look from the front, and I'm going to drag that point to somewhere down around there, come up to about the joint of that, and then E to extrude and G, pull it up to about there. So I have this. All right. Now, the trick is that we're going to rotate this. So I'm going to look from the back, from the side there. I pressed Control 3. I'm just going to press R to rotate and just do this. Actually, not too much. And just pull it over a little bit. And then we can look from the front again and see. And it's just to give it a little bit of a curve. All right, now I'm going to take this point here, and we're going to bevel that. Shift Control B and pull. There's 2, 3. We just wanted a slight rounding. I had trouble saying that. And I may uncurve that a bit. And I'm going to, I can curve that again, or rotate it again. But right now I'm going to convert that to a curve. And I'm going to start bringing up the bevel depth. And to be a little bit more sure, I'm going to take all of the chair and we're going to go back to the middle again. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to rotate Z minus 90. So it's looking to the front again. I'm going to pull it back in to around there. And now I can take this piece and I can just drag it over. And then I'm going to look to see what the attachment is like. All right, so there's a little bit of fiddling. I'm going to press G and I'm just going to pull it in like that. And I can take these and just pull them up if I want as well. Okay, and we're almost there. This piece could come forward a bit, so I'm going to select all of these, pull them in a little bit more, just about that. And that's pretty good. You can always move this whole thing back just a little bit until it sort of makes contact. You can put bolts on the back of this if you want, but I'm just going to leave it like that. Let's just see the thickness if I like it. I think I do. I'm going to take that and I think I'm going to use that. So I'm going to take this, come up to the resolution and choose 3. Right click, convert to mesh, come in here and close it up. Shift Alt and click those, F, Control B and pull, and I'm going to have 3 in there, and I have that, and that's going to be just fine. Okay, my 3D cursor is right there. Actually, I should really make it with respect to something central. Select, Shift S, cursor to selected, and then take this and set the origin to the 3D cursor, and we can mirror that over. Here. And we've done it. Now, before we go any further, though, let's unwrap this stuff. What I'm going to do is Shift Alt and click there. We're going to want a seam there. Remember, this is mirrored, so that's fine. And I'm just going to drop a seam down here. Shift Alt and click one of these edges. Control E, mark seam. That'll go on the other one as well. We'll be joining this stuff in a bit. And for this, I'm just going to slash key to focus on this. This is a curve. I'm going to choose 4 for this to make it a bit smoother, and I'm going to convert that to a mesh, come in here and choose a sort of a middle one, Control E, mark seam. You could get rid of certain faces, so that's got a seam on it. And for this one, I'm just going to select, Shift Alt and click this edge that goes all the way around. I guess we can't really see that. There, selected. Control E, mark seam. I think this one will be easy to unwrap. And this one is I'm going to use Smart UV Project. So everything is actually unwrapped. I think it's time to start putting things together and deciding. I'm going to go ahead and apply that mirror, just deciding on subdivision levels. So I'm going to bring that down. You know what? I am going to go with the 2, so it'll be a little bit higher poly. And I'm going to join those, Control J. Well, I'm going to apply that first. And I'm going to join those. And this one, I'm going to join as well. And this one has 2. Can I get away with 1? I think I can. I'm going to apply that. And I'm going to join that. So we have the top part of the chair right there. Oh, I didn't join it today. Okay, and then of course you can come in here and merge by distance just to make sure you don't have any stray vertices. And before I do anything else, I'm going to look at, we'll apply that subdivision, but I'm going to come in here. I don't like this pattern personally, so I'm going to Control plus X vertices, Shift Alt and click there, and use loop tools just to make it just a nicer circle, and then F to make a face. So I have that. So that's applied, and this one I'm going to apply, and there's that. And okay, so let's start. Let's do this. We're going to hide all this. All of this I'm going to put in a collection, new collection. I'm going to call this Chair 1. So we'll have that. Okay, so Chair 1. Now I want to make the stool here, so I'm going to select this and this and this, and oh, let me double check this. Okay, let's not forget. And you know what? I'm going to make it a bit higher poly than maybe it would need to be. Control J. Oh. So those 2 are joined. All right. So to make the stool, let's select this, and these, and Shift D to duplicate, and just pull them over. So we have that one done, believe it or not. New collection, and let's call this Stool 1. Good. And we'll take this, and that's it. Shift D, move that over to here. And new collection, this is going to be Stool 2. And then we're going to take the top part here, which is all of that, plus this, Shift D to duplicate, and pull it over to here. And this is going to be chair 2. Okay, so let's just move on real quick. Let's select here and Shift S, cursor to selected, and bring in a circle, not a cube. Let's bring in a circle or a cylinder. I'll stick with 24. Let's just move it down and scale it down and push that about halfway under, then E to extrude and pull down to about there. Okay, and now I'm going to duplicate that, Shift D to duplicate, pull it down to here, scale it out to about there, and I'm going to break it out. Actually, it'll be a little bit easier to work on. I guess I didn't break it out. There we go. And I'm going to extrude down to here, and then Shift Alt and click that, E to extrude, pull up to here, go to wireframe, scale it in like that. There's a little bit of a protrusion off the sides. All right, I'm going to drop an edge loop down there, scale it in, and then Control B and pull. And there's 3 edges. I'm going to go for, I guess, about 5. Shift Alt and click this edge, E and S, and pull in like that, and then grab that edge and we'll bevel it, but with just 3. 3 there, and let's do this edge as well. We need to do that edge. Okay, and now we can shade smooth that, and we can shade smooth that, and we can also double check the direction. Yeah, see, that one's flipped. Alt N, recalculate outside, and I should come in here somewhere like around the back. Let's get out of that and select maybe that. Control E, mark seam, and on this piece here I'm going to come up here, and for this one I think I'm just going to grab a back edge as well. Control E, mark seam. That should be okay for what we're doing. So we've got that, and this is part of let's say, okay, we need to put these in stool 2, I believe it is, right? Stool 2. Okay, good. And then we'll take these and we're going to copy them. Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to pull them into about the middle of that chair, and I'm going to move them into chair 2. So let's just double check. I don't need that anymore anyhow. Let's double check all of our collections. So chair 1, stool 1, stool 2, chair 2. Okay, we have most stuff unwrapped. We need to make sure our modifiers are applied and I'm going to start joining. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and join so it's all one big piece. So there's no subdivisions on this, Control J. It'll be easier for materials as well. I'm going to Control J that, and this piece, Control J, and same thing on this one. Let's put it all together. I'm going to select everything and go in and merge by distance, nothing, and just double check that everybody's facing the right way, and they are. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. Come over here, press New, and let's call this material Chair 1, and this one Stool 1, and this one Stool 2, and this one Chair 2. There we go. Alright, save. Over to the UV editing window. Let's start with this one, and we should be able to just U and unwrap and select it all. I'm not sure about this piece. Let's see where that's from. Let's select a bit of it and that. Yeah, okay. Well, we're not quite ready. So this piece here, I'm going to Smart UV project. I can put an island margin of 0.2. Okay, and I'll make it a little bit smaller. Now I'm going to select everything. Everything else should be okay. N and pack, or use Blender to pack. And that should be okay for what we're doing, pretty simple stuff. I'm going to do this next one here right away. So this piece is going to be Smart UV project, and make it a little bit smaller. And then I can press Control I to invert the selection, U, unwrap, select it all, and pack. So that's 2 of them done. And then this stuff I should be able to just do unwrap and pack. It's very simple unwrapping and packing, so it should be okay though. And if not, we're going to come back. Now that's a half circle. I don't think that'll be a problem though, so we're going to have a look at that. Okay, that's done. So now I can take the whole thing and I'm going to export that all as one FBX. Over here in Substance Painter, new, OpenGL, select chair, stool, video, open. There they are. Good. We're going to bake the mesh maps. I'm going to do this at 2K, uncheck ID and thickness, and let it run. All right, they have baked, and now it's time to look at this and see if we notice any error. Let's put on just anti-aliasing first. And looks okay. So with that very simple unwrapping, I think we are going to still be okay. You could easily texture this in Blender, but you can also easily texture it here. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's go over to chair 1 first, and we're going to drag in this aluminum or just any shiny metal, and that's all we're actually going to do. You can scuff it up if you want. I might, we'll see. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is search in my materials for plastic. I want this plastic glossy. I'm going to drop that on top. I'm going to add a black mask and come over here to the polygon fill and choose mesh. And I want the chair, and I want the chair back. So blue looks pretty cool, but I'm actually going to go for red. So change the color here, and I'm going to slide all the way down to there. Okay, very shiny red. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is duplicate this layer and clear the mask so that I can choose another area. But before I do that, actually, let's make this white. Not quite perfect white, but higher white. Now, you can do leather. I'm just going to do plastic for now. So with that done, on the black mask, I'm going to select this and that border piece there, and that. And that gives us our main chair like this. You know, you can do whatever more stuff if you want. What I will do is I'll do one more thing and put just a little bit of dirt on this, just for a bit more realism. Make this sort of a dark brown. And put the roughness up. Add a black mask. It's just a generator, a dirt generator, but we're going to lower this down. Just it'll create a little bit of like almost ambient occlusion, a little bit of separation in there. I'm just going to do that. I'll call that dirt. Now, with that done, I'm going to take all of these layers and I'm going to copy them. I'm going to come to chair 2, which I spelled wrong, the material, I guess, and I'm going to paste those in. And we can see the metal, we can't see the other ones. That's because of the masks. So I'm going to come down here to where I want it red, and I'm going to clear that mask and go back to selecting and select the chair and the chair back. Same thing for the white. Clear the mask, polygon fill, select that for the white, unless you want to use different colors on the different chairs. And on this part, I don't want that silver. Okay, that chair's done. And it's got some dirt on it too. Okay, come over to stool 1, delete that, paste that. What do I not need? I don't need the white layer, delete. Clear the mask, choose the cushion, done. All right, stool 2, paste, get rid of the white, clear that mask and select that. And there you have it. The only other thing you can do or should do is I'm going to up this to 2K. It's not going to make that much difference because these are such simple textures, but I will do it anyhow. Especially if you do put some grunge or grime on them, you would probably want that based on our unwrap. That one and that one. All right. That's looking with the panorama HDR. That's a nice one as well, but I'll go back. All right, so we now have our matching diner stuff. and it's ready to go into a scene. All right, so like I say, the reference image is available on the Zero Bio Discord if you want to model this exact stuff here. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.